Here is the story of the '69 Chevrolet Camaro that changed muscle car history forever. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 was not just another muscle car. This was a 500 horsepower aluminum block monster that Chevrolet accidentally let slip through corporate restrictions, creating what many consider the fastest production car they ever built. Picture this. Late summer 1968. Fred Gibb, an AHRA drag racer who owned a Chevrolet dealership in La Harpe, Illinois, had a wild idea. He had been watching the dominance of Chevrolet's aluminum 427 ZL1 engine in Can-Am racing, where it powered McLaren and Jim Hall's Chaparral race cars to victory after victory. This wasn't some street engine. This was pure racing technology cast in aluminum at General Motors' Tonawanda plant for one purpose: to win races. But Gibb saw something else. He saw the future of drag racing. The ZL1 engine was unlike anything Chevrolet had ever offered to the public. Based on the legendary L88 Corvette engine, it featured an all-aluminum block and heads, weighing just 500 pounds, about the same as Chevy's 327 small block V8, but where the 327 made modest power, the ZL1 was a barely contained explosion. Officially rated at 430 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, the real numbers told a different story. Dyno tests revealed the truth. This aluminum beast was pushing 525 to 550 horsepower in street trim. With open headers and proper tuning, it could eclipse 600 horsepower. At 7,000 revolutions per minute, it was generating approximately 575 horsepower. Those numbers would not be matched by a production Chevrolet for decades. The engine specs read like a race car resume. It had a 12.5-to-1 compression ratio that demanded premium fuel, an 850 cubic feet per minute Holley double pumper carburetor sat on a high-rise aluminum intake manifold, cast iron cylinder sleeves, and 4-bolt main bearing caps ensured the aluminum block could handle the punishment. This was Chevrolet's first production aluminum block, and Chevrolet loaded it with every trick learned from Can-Am racing. But there was a problem. General Motors had strict corporate policies about engines in the Camaro. Nothing bigger than 400 cubic inches was supposed to find its way into Chevrolet's pony car. The 427 ZL1 was definitely bigger than 400 cubic inches. That's where Vince Piggins came in. As Chevrolet's product promotions manager and the architect behind performance programs like the Z28, Piggins, working with general manager Pete Estes, developed a workaround called COPO, the Central Office Production Order. These special fleet orders could bypass normal restrictions, and when Fred Gibb called in late summer 1968, Piggins saw an opportunity. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Gibb would order 50 ZL1 Camaros through COPO 9560, positioning them as fleet vehicles for his dealership. The cars would be built at Chevrolet's Norwood, Ohio assembly plant with minimal options to keep costs down. No fancy badges, no racing stripes, no performance appearance packages, just the most powerful engine Chevrolet had ever put in a production car, wrapped in the most unassuming package possible. What arrived at Gibb's dealership on December 31, 1968 was automotive perfection, disguised as mediocrity. The first two ZL1 Camaros painted dusk blue looked like secretary cars. Column shift, turbo-hydromatic transmission, manual steering, basic black vinyl interior, and dog dish wheel caps. No radio, no clock, no tachometer. The only hints that something special lurked under the hood were the dual exhaust pipes and the cowl induction ZL2 hood. These cars were true sleepers, but there was an immediate problem. Neither car would start in the cold Illinois winter. Worse yet, when Gibb opened the paperwork, he discovered a pricing shock that would change everything. Chevrolet had quoted him roughly $400 for the ZL1 engine package. The actual sticker price was over $7,200 per car, with the ZL1 option alone costing $4,160. A new corporate edict had shifted all development costs to the customer, and Gibb was looking at nearly $400,000 in inventory at 1969 prices. To put this in perspective, a fully loaded 1969 Corvette with the L88 engine and the M22 Rock Crusher 4-speed transmission cost $1,000 less than a ZL1 Camaro. Chevrolet had accidentally created the most expensive car in their lineup, and it did not even have air conditioning or a radio. The bulk of Gibb's 50-car order arrived in March 1969, and the dealer faced reality. These were not cars he could sell to typical customers. At $7,200, they cost more than many people's houses. So Gibb did something unprecedented in automotive history. He called Chevrolet and asked to return 37 of the cars. Amazingly, they said yes. It was the first time the factory had ever allowed a dealer to return new cars, but the 13 cars Gibb kept would make history. He immediately sent ZL1 number 1 to Dick Harrell's Performance Center in Kansas City. Harrell, known as Mr. Chevrolet, was a drag racing legend who understood what this aluminum engine could do. He had actually installed what many believe was the very first 427 in a Camaro back in 1967, so he knew the potential. At the 1969 AHRA Winter Nationals, ZL1 number 1 made its public debut. In superstock trim, with Harrell's tuning expertise, it ran 10.41 seconds. The drag racing world took notice. Here was a car you could literally drive off the showroom floor and run 10s with minimal modifications. Headers, slicks, and proper tuning got ZL1s into the 11.6-second range at 122 miles per hour. In Harrell's hands, these cars consistently ran 11.64 seconds at 122.15 miles per hour. Bill "Grumpy" Jenkins, who also ran ZL1 engines in his superstock builds, validated the aluminum 427's dominance on drag strips nationwide. The automotive press was stunned. Here was proof that Chevrolet could build a genuine supercar when corporate restrictions were lifted. The ZL1 Camaro wasn't just fast, it was otherworldly fast. The aluminum engine's lightweight transformed the car's handling dynamics, taking nearly 100 pounds off the nose compared to an iron block 427. This wasn't just a straight-line monster, it was a balanced performance machine. Word spread through the muscle car underground. Serious racers started seeking out the remaining ZL1s. Some found their way to dealers like Don Yanko's Cannonsburg store, Berger Chevrolet in Western Michigan, and Nicky Chevrolet in Chicago. But by July 1969, poor sales had forced Chevrolet to end the ZL1 program. The last car would not be sold until 1972, when Gibb finally moved his final ZL1. The production numbers tell the story of exclusivity. Just 69 ZL1 Camaros were built, 47 with 4-speed manual transmissions and 22 with automatics. Each one was a numbered, documented piece of automotive history. The engines themselves were even rarer. Only an estimated 300 ZL1 blocks were cast at the Winters aluminum foundry between 1968 and 1974. What made these cars special wasn't just the power, it was the engineering. The ZL1 showcased technology that was decades ahead of its time. The aluminum block construction, the sophisticated valvetrain, the attention to weight savings. These were lessons Chevrolet would apply to future performance engines. The ZL1 was a preview of what muscle cars could be when engineering took precedence over cost-cutting. Dick Harrell continued campaigning ZL1 number 1 through the early 1970s, setting AHRA Pro Stock records, including a 9.63-second pass at 143 miles per hour in 1971. Tragically, Harrell lost his life in a funny car accident in September 1971, but his work with the ZL1 had established its legend. As the muscle car era ended and emissions regulations tightened, the ZL1 took on mythical status. These cars represented the absolute pinnacle of what Detroit could build when given free rein. They were faster than contemporary Corvettes, more exclusive than any Ferrari, and built with technology that would not appear in mainstream cars for decades. The story took an amazing turn in 1997 when GM employees cleaning out the old Winters aluminum foundry discovered the original ZL1 casting molds, preserved in storage for decades. GM decided to produce 200 continuation blocks, giving enthusiasts a chance to build their own piece of ZL1 history. Today, authentic 1969 ZL1 Camaros are among the most valuable muscle cars ever built. In January 2020, ZL1 number 59, a matching numbers Hugger Orange example, sold for $1,094,500 at Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale auction, the only Camaro to break the seven-figure barrier at public sale. Hagerty currently values a good condition ZL1 at $610,000, and that number keeps climbing. More than 40 of the original 69 cars have been located and authenticated by organizations like the COPO Connection. Each discovery is news in the muscle car world. These cars are impressively documented with original shipping reports, Protect O plates, and ownership histories. Some have scored 995 points out of 1,000 at Classic Chevrolet Club meets. The ZL1 name returned in 2012 when Chevrolet revived it for the fifth-generation Camaro and again for the sixth-generation car that ended production in 2024. But these modern interpretations, impressive as they are, lack the raw, uncompromising character of the original. The 1969 ZL1 represents something that can never be replicated, a moment when corporate oversight failed just enough to let engineers build their dream car. It was the result of racing technology, dealer ingenuity, and corporate loopholes converging at exactly the right moment in automotive history. Fred Gibb probably never imagined that his 50-car gamble would create one of the most legendary vehicles in Chevrolet history. He was a drag racer who also owned a dealership, and he saw an opportunity to put the ultimate racing engine in a street car. What he created was proof that American automakers could build supercars that rivaled anything from Europe when they were allowed to. The ZL1 Camaro stands as proof of an era when horsepower was king, and corporate restrictions were just obstacles to overcome. In a world of focus groups and market research, 69 cars slipped through the cracks and became automotive immortality. They remain, decades later, the fastest production cars Chevrolet ever built, aluminum-bodied ghosts of muscle car perfection that still haunt drag strips and auction houses alike. This is why the ZL1 legend endures. It was not just about the numbers, though they were staggering. It was not just about the rarity, though only 69 were built. It was about possibility. The possibility that when engineers are given unlimited budgets and minimal restrictions, they can create something truly extraordinary. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 proved that American muscle could be sophisticated, powerful, and utterly uncompromising all at once.